Boom, and just like that, months of hoarding teal gear is finally done as I unlocked a baby Dormammu this morning. Now, I learned a lot during this time, and in this video, I'm sharing some of my best and worst decisions for Dark Dimension 5, and hopefully you could learn from some of my good and bad decisions. So if you're ready for some of my best tips for hoarding and planning your Dark Dimension 5 run, well, you know what to do. Find that like button, and let's go smash it!
ValleyFlyin.
Valley Maniacs, welcome back to the ValleyFlyin channel. I'm ValleyFlyin. I hope you're having a great day. And yes, it is time to rejoice for our roster because we have finally unlocked a baby Dormammu, which means don't need to hoard as much teal gear. Now, during that process of unlocking Dormammu, I learned a lot. Learned a lot about which characters are best to hoard, which are best to go after, and the strategy that I use. Some of them good, some of them bad. We're going to take a look at all of them. And let's just go into my roster. Let me talk about what happened with this. So one of my big regrets here is upgrading these characters too early. So if we go in, we're going to take a look at all these individual characters. So what I mean by that is one of the things I was doing is let's take a look at Squirrel Girl here. We're going to build her up in just a little bit as server reset comes around, taking her up to a level 85, gear 16 for our second run of Dark Dimension. But one of the things I was looking at is there's a lot of these unique pieces here. This is the bio stuff that we're trying to hoard. But if we go to this mini piece right here, which requires these unique pieces, well, it doesn't have all of those 16 unique. So I was looking at this, I got a lot of that stuff, and I'm just going to upgrade these. Well, as I started to upgrade other characters, I started to run out of this origin pieces, not just bio, but skill, mystic, especially mystic and everything like that. So what I would recommend is don't upgrade any characters. Don't put any teal gear into any character until you're ready to bring them into Dark Dimension. So I would save a lot, and yeah, don't neglect this stuff here, because this origin stuff, it does run really short, especially if you're not doing 100% in Doom 2.3. All right, next is be flexible. One of the things that I wanted to do was bring in certain characters because I knew I would get a lot of use out of them in Dark Dimension and outside of Dark Dimension. Well, because the gear that you get is so random, especially these mini unique pieces here, these Armory 16 pieces here, well, it is very hard to plan. One of my things that I wanted to bring in was bringing in Cloak and bringing in Dagger, but as we started to get a lot of these mystic characters, well, that was not possible because it would have meant sacrificing other characters. So be flexible and have a good mix of characters that are going to give you the value in Dark Dimension, give you value outside of Dark Dimension, and that you actually have the pieces for. So we'll talk about some of my decisions that we went in, and here we are in City. The characters that I took in for City, Shang-Chi, that was a win. I highly recommend bringing in Shang-Chi, and we actually got lucky while we were in Dark Dimension, and we pulled a 7 red on Shang-Chi. So he's fully maxed out at this time, except for his ISO 8. But he's a very good character. He has a turn meter rewind, healing, and he brings a lot of damage. So very good character. Cloak was a good character as well. Not as good without Dagger, but he made a difference. All the debuffs that he puts on the enemies, and was a very good character. Now, down at the bottom here, we brought in 3 other City characters. Ghost Spider, don't regret her at all. I think she's a great character for this game mode and outside of this because I'm using her on a daily basis in Doom, on the bio section in Doom. Same thing with Scarlet Spider. Unfortunately, can't get a lot of shards for him because he's unfarmable right now. And then we needed a 5th. And instead of doing Dagger, we ended up doing Spider-Punk. And I had a choice between Spider-Punk and OG Spider-Man. I thought that Spider-Punk had a lot more value in the raids, whilst OG Spider-Man had a lot more value in other game modes, pretty much all the game modes except for the raids. So I brought in Spider-Punk because the raids was my primary focus. That was a mistake. So if you're in the same boat as me, have enough Oz to do one Spider-Verse character, and you're choosing between Punk and OG Spider-Man, even Miles at this point would have been a good choice because he does have that Young Avengers tag. You can bring him into both Scourge events that we have in this name. I would bring in Spider-Man or Miles over Spider-Punk. This was probably my first mistake that I realized that I did. So be flexible with your roster. Let's move on from City and go into Global, and I'll talk about some of the characters that I brought in here. Now, there's a lot of Global characters. Some of these are legendary, so they didn't count. Lady Deathstrike was a big winner here. Her turn meter rewind, all the bleeds that she does, very, very good character. Plus, she has that tech tag, so using her on a daily basis in the tech section of the Doom raids, and she's on the best war offense team in the game, and she has a lot of value in other game modes as well. So Lady Deathstrike was a win. The first character that I actually brought up before I was even thinking of getting into Dark Dimension 5 was Dr. Doom, because Dr. Doom has so many value in all game modes. So this was a no-brainer for me. I don't regret bringing in Dr. Doom despite his high cost. Now, what was disappointing for me was Captain Sam. We just brought up Maria after we brought up Dark Dimension 5, but we had Captain Sam and Sharon Carter, and I gotta say, they were a little disappointing. Now, people that brought in all three Secret Avengers, Captain Sam, Sharon, and Maria Hill, were very, very happy with them, but I only brought two of the three, and a little disappointing. Most of the run was from Dr. Doom and Lady Deathstrike, and the biggest surprise for me was Sabretooth. Now, I brought him in because he was cheap. I wanted to get in. I thought Doom and Lady Deathstrike could carry most of the mode, but surprisingly, Sabretooth had a lot more value than I thought. So not only is he cheap, he also is part of that war offense team and that Weapon X team. Plus, with his rework, he has a lot of damage, he has a lot of bleeds, he has a lot of health. So survived and did a lot more than I was expecting him to do, because he didn't have a rework in Dark Dimension 4, and he kind of sucked for that game mode. So Sabretooth was a big win. Let's move on from our global characters, and we actually brought her up since we did Dark Dimension 5 as well, so we brought her up this morning. We'll test her out. We'll see how she is. I'm not sure how she's going to be without Morgan, but Doom is a must. I would recommend Doom. Makes these global nodes a lot easier. Same with Lady Deathstrike. And if I had to pick a section that I struggle the most in, it probably would be the global section. We're going to go and talk about some of those individual nodes in just a little bit, but let's move on from global to cosmic, and this was probably one of the easiest sections in that. And the reason for that is because I brought in Cersei, Icarus, and just with the two of them makes it a very, very easy run. Also brought in Kestrel, and those are probably the big three that you want to bring in. If you have the Mystic gear, if you have the skill gear for all of these characters, I would highly recommend doing all of that. Now, we went a little cheap with the final two characters, Ravager Stitcher and Star-Lord T'Challa. Star-Lord T'Challa, mainly we brought him in because I expected to have a lot more value in the Doom raids. Unfortunately, I'm only using him on the last node in the Doom raids for that Dr. Doom counter, so a little disappointed with Star-Lord T'Challa. Ravager Stitcher was very, very cheap, so we were able to do both of these characters, bring them in, and make sure that we were done with Cosmic. So bringing these characters as a combo, not that bad on Dark Dimension. And as far as other game modes, Star-Lord T'Challa does have some value in other game modes, but as far as Star-Lord T'Challa's value in the tech section of Doom, a little disappointing, but they did very good in Dark Dimension. As far as Dark Dimension choices, I think these are two very, very good choices here, and they synergize well with each other. I'm not sure if I would bring Stitcher without T'Challa, and you could bring other characters if you're bringing T'Challa, but if you're bringing T'Challa, Stitcher is an excellent choice. Other characters that you might want to consider is Heartless Doctor Strange, especially if you already have Morgan Le Fay and Agatha already done. And for my second run, I definitely want to get Dormammu up to help with that cosmic section. So that is a character that I'm going to bring up. Now, one character that I wanted to bring up that I eventually didn't bring up was Lady Deathstrike, or excuse me, Deathpool, because she's part of that New Warriors team. I wanted to bring up all the New Warriors, but just with the lack of Mystic gear, the lack of this miasma that I had at one time, because there's a lot of characters that need that miasma, didn't end up bringing her up, and I don't regret that decision. And that's where that flexibility comes in, having a flexible plan that you could deviate from. But I'm happy with my cosmic choices. Like I said, this was probably the easiest section until we got to the legendary section. Let's take a look at the legendary characters that I brought in, and that plan kind of went out the window as well, because my plan initially was to bring Adam Warlock, Omega Red, Jubilee, Morgan Le Fay, Ebony Maw, but things changed in those months and months since we were building in. So we actually did not get the Miasma. We did not get the Mystic Gear. So Adam Warlock is still not at gear 16. One of the characters that we had a lot of extra bio gear. We were done with City. Didn't need it for the Web Warriors, so it was between Black Bolt and Invisible Woman. And I gotta say, Black Bolt was a huge disappointment in Dark Dimension 5. I'm not expecting him to have some value in the Pestilence Scourge of Excelsior, the Famine Scourge event coming up, because he does have that Inhuman tag. So the main reason I brought Black Bolt instead of Invisible Woman was because of the Scourge value. So hopefully I'm not regretting that decision later on, but as far as his value in just Dark Dimension, very, very bad. Now, it did bring Invisible Woman to Dark Dimension 4, and she was very, very instrumental in keeping my characters alive. If we look at the characters that I brought in, it was Morgan Le Fay, Jubilee, Omega Red, Phoenix, and Black Bolt. So those are the 5 characters that I brought in. Shuri we eventually ended up doing after Dark Dimension 5 with some of the rewards that we got. This would have been my first choice over Phoenix. Now, Phoenix we brought up because we could go in right now. For some reason, I had a lot of the extra mutant gear, and I think I still have a lot of mutant gear, so I'm not hurting myself for Rogue. But yeah, the Phoenix is an okay choice. Just realize that you're gonna not get a lot of value outside of Dark Dimension. So if I had to do this again, and gear was not a limitation, I'll go Morgan Le Fay, Jubilee, Omega Red, Shuri, and probably Adam Warlock. Invisible Woman is a good choice if you're just considering Dark Dimension 5. The only negative thing with Invisible Woman is she has very little value after you're done with Dark Dimension 5. So that's the reason I didn't bring her up. But if you're okay with just getting Dark Dimension 5 value and you don't care about anything after that, then Invisible Woman can be a good choice. Shuri, I'm expecting this legendary run to be a lot easier now that we have a healer. Because if we look at the characters that we did bring up, well, a lot of damage, not a lot of sustain. So I was not able to one-shot a lot of these nodes. One tip that you guys recommended on a Valley Club on stream was shifting Omega Red to healer just to help keep Black Bolt and Phoenix alive, and that did help. I wish I did that sooner. Shifting around your ISO 8s is something that you could do as well. One thing we also shifted around Morgan Le Fay's ISO 8, and we brought her in as the striker just because she's getting those extra pins. Eventually, with that last Doom and his high resistance, we had to bring her back to Skirmisher, and we brought him to Striker just so he gets some extra pings. Now, let's go take a look at some of the nodes, some of the individual nodes that gave me some trouble that you might want to watch out for when you're doing your own Dark Dimension run. All right, this is the lane here. Now, going into the unlimited tier, your first run may be a little challenging because you're just bringing up these different characters, maybe not a lot of synergy. You're planning your city, your global, and your cosmic, and you just got a mismatch of characters. This might be the toughest. I'm thinking as you go to the second run, third run, this would be the easiest section there. Then we came to City. Now, City, we went through this a little slow because I knew we didn't have global or cosmic or legendary characters ready. So we're kind of taking our time through City. This one wasn't, I don't remember anything standing out too much, but this took a lot of time going through this. And I think it's going to be a lot easier with Squirrel Girl there. So if you have not made your decisions on who you're bringing up for Dark Dimension, Squirrel Girl is a great choice. Shang-Chi is a great choice. After that, probably some Web Warriors or some other Young Avengers or some other characters that you may be using on a daily basis. Couple nodes that I do want to talk about. The toughest nodes are in global, at least for me, based on what I brought, was the global section. And let's talk about this node 8 right here. Well, this was probably the toughest node that I remember. We have Silver Surfer, Squirrel Girls. We have Miss Marvel. We have Yo-Yo with the offense down, the pings from Black Bolt, the stealth, the stuns from Black Widow. We got all the crap that Silver Surfer does. He is so annoying when you're facing him on defense. You can't hit everybody right away because Miss Marvel taunts and the Squirrel Girl clears everything off. So that first wave, very, very tough. We have Shuri, Black Bolt, another Black Bolt combo here. And then the final wave, we have another Silver Surfer, Yo-Yo, Black Bolt, Jubilee with the blinds, Magneto with the blinds, Hawkeye with the blinds, so much blinds. And if you leave this here, if you leave Squirrel Girl here, well, it's not going to be a fun experience. So this was the toughest node for me. This one was also pretty tough. It looks easy on the surface, but this Ant-Man Wasp, some of these characters that you don't think are going to be good, they have some increased stats here. And we got a Sinister, and Doom. This could be tough. Now, a lot of I would go all in on Doom once you get to this section here. What we did was all the bots, never using the special where you just explode everything, just using hit with all of the bots, and then taking out Doom. Once Doom was down, very easy to get through this node. And I guess the one of the toughest characters in the game was this increased stats of Dr. Doom. So mission 15, the final node. This Doom is not that bad. We have a Phoenix here. As long as you kill her and she doesn't come back, and you kill her before she drops for the next wave, you should be pretty good. This Doom was not that bad. We got some Ultrons here, and if you're bringing in Black Bolt, hopefully you get luckier than I did and could kill him once. But for all of these Ultrons, we've had to kill them twice because, yeah, we didn't get that final hit with Black Bolt. But the problem is this guy here, Dr. Doom. One of the things that I did, killed pretty much all of this wave here this morning. Dr. Doom took a turn, brought everybody back to life at full health. I'm like, oh my goodness, what a waste of time. So this Dr. Doom, and he doesn't just heal the most injured enemy, he heals everybody, brings everybody back to life. So he's like a Doom Dormammu combo here. Once you get past this Doom, once this Doom is down, the rest of these guys are very, very easy. So that was what I remember. That was what we did for Dark Dimension 5. If you've completed Dark Dimension 5 and you got some tips for other people that I did not mention, well, let me know. Let me know what you're planning to bring in if you haven't been through Dark Dimension 5. And hopefully these tips help you. If it did, share this with your friends. I look forward to Dark Dimension 6. We got to get our big Doom. And hopefully by then we could use that with some effectiveness in war and everything like that. So like I said, hopefully this helped you. If it does, share this with your friends. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up button because it lets YouTube know that you like this video. And hit that notification bell so that you know as soon as a new video goes up. I will see you guys next time. There may be another video coming out today. But before that, make sure you give me that Hulk fist bump. Stay hydrated. Stay positive. And I'll see you at the top. Hulk fist bump. ValleyFlyin out.